Todd Baxter, employees of the Miami County Sheriff's Office. District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, employees of the Miami County District Attorney's Office. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. Paul C. Messer, James County Jr., in Penfield Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been an innocent man my whole life, and I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. There is not one word, one sound, one syllable from these freaks and sociopaths that have been unleashed upon me by your disgusting existence. So, this is the Freedom of Information Law, dated this July 30th, 2023, as I communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York, and you hacks and sociopaths have wasted your lives in Monroe County. You'll never know it. What the hell do you know about anything outside of Monroe County? So I'm going to read this foil here and demanding you disclose information to me, especially such as these freaks here underwater in the pool, Todd Baxter. These are your employees. And this freak right here, you sent to Atlanta, Georgia, Ryan Fisher. You also sent Corey Brown and Michael Fowler. Your 2 employees paid more money than you, because Michael Fowler's paid $163,000 and Corey Brown's paid $155,000. And what are Corey Brown and Michael Fowler doing in Saratoga, New York, Todd Baxter, where I would be right now if it wasn't for you freaks at the district attorney's office prosecuting me in total silence? When I say where I would be right now, because I have been going to the track for 10 years, for the 10 years I lived in Albany County. And that's impossible for me to do when I'm being prosecuted in total silence. So, when I say I'm being prosecuted in total silence, the freaks are right here, because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office. And you, Mark Monahan, and you, Perry Duckles, and you, Michelle Crowley, the director of grand jury, know the names of the freaks and the sociopaths that have prosecuted me in total silence, especially the freaking sociopath who forced me into Alex Renzi, this $208,000 fossil on New York State Supreme Court, who has no idea what has happened to me, which I said to him in New York State Supreme Court. Because when I go into court, I'm absolutely defiant. He remanded me to Monroe County Jail for a 7:30 mental health evaluation when I was at my temporary residence, 70 Liberty Pole Way. And as I said on a previous YouTube, I don't believe this is constitutional. Because that means Alex Renzi can summon any citizen of Monroe County into New York State Supreme Court to examine the contents of their head. And the only reason why Alex Renzi knows my name is because you freaks at that district attorney's shack have prosecuted me in total silence. How's that happen? And is that constitutional? Because that means Alex Renzi can demand any citizen of Monroe County receive a 7:30 mental health evaluation. Do you freaks and sociopaths understand how dangerous this fossil is? And the answer is you don't, because you're freaks and sociopaths. Tell me who the names are. You, Mark Phillips, for your $87,000 salary, know the names. You, public defender Julie Sianka, I think you're at $140,000. I'm doing this from memory. You're easily 6 figures. You know these names too. When I contact the members of the Monroe County Legislature, public defender Julie Sianka, I will demand that you be removed, because this is information you have. Quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. District Regina Harper said to me about the boy who has my charges in front of $28,000 Paul C. Messer. What do you think, you hacks and sociopath, when you have to stand in front of this disgusting, vile hack, Paul C. Messer, who's in there with 5,000 votes, where there is no jury of 12, there's no witness box for testimony, there's not even a table for you to sit down at as a prosecutor in Penfield Court, because there's not a table for a defense attorney, and this room is a joke. And you debase yourselves as human beings when you go in there and you don't demand that any type of proceeding be moved away from Penfield Town Court, because you did that with me. So, on this February 5th, this is arriving in your office. These documentations here, on this February 5th, it arrived either UPS, FedEx, or registered mail return receipt. And it's arrived over and over since then, because I'll include this documentation in the new documentation I sent to you. To understand how I communicate with you freaks and sociopaths. And every single time I communicate with you, I'm demanding you disclose to me the names of my prosecutors silence. So, on this February 5th, 2023, Sandra, Doorley, Todd Baxter, YouTube, information on District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, and Sheriff Todd Baxter. comply with the attached freedom of information law documents, mail the names on prosecutors to my court appearance at the list address listed below, Rochester, New York, resign, Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, 14664. This is corruption. This is a public proceeding financed by the taxpayers. District Attorney Sandra Doorley looked at this. She had to. And if she didn't, wow, if I'm incorrect about that, if the district attorney didn't look at this, is she falling down at her home in Webster because her health is in a radical decline? Did the district attorney of Monroe County look at this on February 5th, 2023, when I'm demanding of her she disclose to me the names of my prosecutors of silence? I don't know. I can only guess. But it has arrived over and over and over before February 5th, 2023, and over after February 5th, 2023. Information. Grand jury's convened. I don't know what's convened. That you, Michelle Crowley, one of the stupidest people in Monroe County, to indict me for the fiction and the fantasy in the head of this cop freak, Michael Houlihan, who paid $73,000, who I just wrote a criminal complaint about. I'm going to talk about this horrific accident or incident Michael Houlihan, the sheriff's office, was involved with. There was a death because of Michael Houlihan at the sheriff's office. I'm not going to get into that now because I'm still thinking about it when I look at my notes over here about what I'm going to say to you freaks and sociopaths. Do you know what I'm talking about, Michael Rabbit, Kathleen Mill, William Tadeo, and Scott Alberti? About death and $73,000 Michael Houlihan. I believe you do. So, February 5th. That's the cover letter. This is the emails right here. I'm telling you, apply with detached freedom of information law documents, mail the prosecutors aside my court appearance, the address listed below in Rochester, New York. And on here is Jamie Belliard, who has treated me with decency. Pretrial Services Corporation. Alex Renzi is compelling me to go to Pretrial Services Corporation so he can use it as a mechanism to return me to jail. If I didn't go see Jamie Belliard or contact her on the phone or email, I could be returned to jail. Pretrial Services Corporation. I don't have a trial schedule. Is this a complete public government bureaucracy or not? Because it's a corporation. I don't know. This is why Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, is $208,000 fossils freak. I would be in fear about having to go there or call Jamie Belliard about being returned to jail. And it's not because I'm afraid about being in jail, what's going to happen in jail. I'm in fear about not trying to get on with my life and move back to Albany. That's what I say when I'm in fear, because I know how to be an inmate. And I know how to keep the most violent inmates away from me, too. So, this is corruption right here for two individuals I once admired and respected because they refused to answer this question. Mark Phillips and Regina Harper, the public defender's office. What are the names of my prosecutors? I believe you, Mark, for your $87,000 salary is still there. I don't believe Regina Harper is, but I don't know. But I'm convinced that Regina Harper was there on this February 4th. For Regina Harper, Mark Phillips, and Monroe County Public Defender's Office. Psychopaths Inc., that's how I refer to you, the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence my court appearance listed below in Rochester, New York. Why did you refuse, Mark? I'm not asking that rhetorically. Contact me. This is the best way to contact me. cchijustjul4@gmail.com. Mark Phillips, just tell me the names of my prosecutors. So, Psychopaths Inc. again. You're all psychopaths, you don't know it. This is corruption right here. Lisa Gray, from my research, is the counsel to the district attorney. And from my experience being a public employee, United States Senate employee, United States House of Representatives employee, I worked for the majority leader governor for 8 years in Albany, Senate Majority Rob Farino, Governor George Pataki. The council has enormous power in some offices, and it was the case in one of mine. The council is the most important and powerful individual, has even more power than the chief of staff. I don't know the power structure of the district attorney's office, certainly is one. Lisa Gray is the counsel to the district attorney. I believe she's paid $87,000. So on this day, this is corruption on this February 1st. We're L. Gray at MonroeCounty.gov, E. Buckley, MonroeCounty.gov, M. O'Brien, MonroeCounty.gov, M. Schwartz, MonroeCounty.gov, M. Crowley, MonroeCounty.gov, M. Monahan, MonroeCounty.gov. I believe you're all still employed. The last time I looked at the payroll, which is right here for the district attorney's office. And then I have M. Beezer, C. Bolkman, R. Catalano, J. Hyatt, Patrick Gallagher, S. Miles, M. Robertson. Lisa Gray, well, I'm telling you right here, on this YouTube, 4 Perry Duckles. I didn't talk to you directly, but I include the links. 4 Perry Duckles in Montgomery District Attorney's Office, where I communicated with Perry Duckles previously, telling them to disclose the names of prosecutors. I'm telling you, perjurer, 73,312, Michael Lynn's perjurer. I just wrote the criminal complaint for him. That's attached to PDF. Violence, Richard J. Seaman. Richard J. Seaman walked in to the Public Library, slammed his arm into my head, and fell backwards. My head hit a ceramic tile. That's a violent attack upon me by Richard J. Seaman. Michael Houlihan hid on the private property of my 70-year-old neighbor, ran at me in the middle of the night with $85,000 down Benedetto. I turned around and ran away in the dark of night. I grabbed a hammer next to my bike and placed my foot on the first of 3 steps to go through the sliding glass door. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up. I run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running. Michael Houlihan, this cop freak, at $73,000, and Don Benedetto, this cop freak, at $85,000. Now I have to come up with a lie. What are they doing there? And then went back to the district attorney's office, said I swung a hammer at him on my back porch. And when you convene a grand jury, director of grand jury Michelle Crowley, and Michael Houlihan at the sheriff's office states that I swung a hammer at him, he perjured himself. That's why I say he perjured. I don't hear from Lisa Gray, anybody here. You're on here, Michelle Crowley. You're the director of the grand jury. On this February 1st, I'm telling you he's a perjurer. I've told you this over and over about this freak who's involved in the death of a human being. I'm not going to talk about that now, as I said, but I will. Todd Baxter surrounds himself with the most vile, disgusting, sick, and evil individuals. Michael Houlihan is evil. Richard J. Seaman is evil. So, here I read your salaries here on this January 29th because I'm trying to destroy the morale at your sheriff's office and your attorney's office. You can see it right here. Public salaries disclosed. I'm going to demand your salaries in 6-month periods for the last 5 years to see how you deliver raises to your own employees. I hope there's nobody screaming outside this parking lot that I can see, or anybody going berserk in the hallway. People can't control themselves in Rochester, New York. So on this January 26th, here, this is corruption. Comply with the attached PDF dated January 26th, that is 73 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive in your office via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to my address, law, Rochester, New York. This includes the names of my prosecutors. Silence. Sandra Doorley looks at this. I understand if I'm not watched. I understand if emails are blown off. This is in your office. District attorney, if she's capable, if her health can manage it, and the district attorney of Monroe County can open up an envelope and look at the contents of it and to determine what I'm demanding of her to disclose to me, she can see I'm demanding this freak disclose the names of my prosecutors. Silence. And this freak, district attorney Sandra Doorley, is refusing every single time. She loves to surround herself with freaks that prosecute innocent citizens in total silence. So on here, on this January 26th, fanaticism, Todd Baxter. I'm talking about Houlihan and Seaman both on here, fanaticism. Perjury, 73312, Michael C. Houlihan in the sheriff's office. Violence, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, $75,904, Richard Seaman. Rejection, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi. Rejection, because I knew you were going to reject every single one of my foils. Have you used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, what's commonly called sexual harassment? Accountability, same thing. There's no accountability for you. Do whatever the hell you want. So, perfect 2 words for you on this January 24th. You're freaks. Apply with the attached PDF dated January 24th, 2023. There's 70 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive in your office, be registered and returned receipt to the United States Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information on demand to address law, Rochester, New York. This includes the names of our prosecutor's silence. So on this January 24th, I told you you're going to arrive UPS on January 25th. District Attorney Sandra Doorley looked at that foil that I wrote. Well, I'm telling this freak to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and this freak District Attorney Sandra Doorley refused to disclose the names of prosecutors in a public proceeding. So, perjury again, violence again. Again, on this January 24th, I'm telling you about Richard J. Seaman and Michael Houlihan, the lunatic fringe. When I was using this phrase that I hate to use, but there's only one other phrase to use it. You know you can humiliate me. And you will call Lindsey Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, upon me, because it is. January 16th, this photograph's why you're a fanatic, this photograph's why you're extremist, this photograph's why you're a liar, this photograph's why I don't know the name of your $67,000 disgusting ex Shannon Meyer. This photograph, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, and District Attorney's Office, is why people hate the police. It's right there. The Public Defender's Office sent me the links of me on this camera, also called a surveillance device, attached to 2025 Penfield Road, where Elliot Roth is the president for a business called Consumer Insights. And Elliot, is this your private technology or these freaks at the sheriff's office buy it from me? Sheriff Todd Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County, did you buy this camera called surveillance device from me? Because I've seen the images of me over and over. You refuse to answer because you're evil. January 11th, comply with the attached PDF dated January 10, 2023. There's 72 Freedom of Information Law documents. This includes identification by prosecutor's silence, mailing information on demand to the address on the foil. The address, Christopher Childers, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, 14604. This is why you're corrupt. You'll never know why you're corrupt. That's the cover letter here for the same thing. If you disclose information to me, simple information, January 5th. Here's your emails up here. I only use an email once, so I'm not blocked. January 5th, comply with the attached PDF dated January 5th, 2023. There's 66 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive in your office via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mailing information on demand to my address below Rochester. This includes names I prosecute silence. It's called accountability. And you refuse, which is not surprising. January 3rd, comply with the attached PDF dated January 3rd, 2023. There's 66 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your office via United Postal Service. I call that anymore. You refused. And every office, I've showed this previously now. This is why you're corrupt. For, I believe it's $140,000 or something like that. January 1, 2023. I'm not going to read that in the interest of time. And what I said here on January 1, 2023 was exactly right. I'll just read this one graph here. This is how easy it is to be in jail. One of you psychopaths and freaks, one of you evil fucks at that district attorney's office can just compel me to go into court. So on this January 1, I'm demanding Perry Duckles that he disclose the names of my prosecutors. And this is what I said on January 1, 2023. I'll be in court again because your fellow psychopaths know it takes only one corrupt judge, such as Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Metzer at Little Town Court, to declare me guilty of criminal charges you concoct. It's exactly what happened to me. It does not matter to you at all, because you hate the human condition, you hate human beings, and you're obsessed with power in the worst way that destroys your souls and your ability to think clearly, honestly, and ethically. So on December 22nd, same thing again. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors on December 22nd. I'll skip forward to November 28th. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors to silence on that November 28th using a different email. And I have to communicate with my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who I've known for 35 years, my landlord, Antonino Spano. I just wrote the criminal complaint for him. You have it in your offices. Lock the doors and lock me out of my residence. I lived at for 8 years. Everything is gone. All my books are gone. All my clothes are gone. My dress screens from 17 Cali, 101st Airborne Division are gone. My bikes are gone. My running jerseys are gone. My running shoes are gone. Everything is gone because this old man locked me out. That takes a court order. He doesn't have one. Took all my things to a storage locker. Takes a court order. Doesn't have one. So this is what I wrote to my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, Webster, New York, where we used to live. And she's refusing every time to tell me what happened. Takes a court order to lock a citizen out. I lived in 5 years in Albany, New York without a lease. I lived in 5 years in Washington, D.C. without a lease. That's why I didn't have any concerns about living without a lease at 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Penfield, and I should have. What I didn't have in Washington, D.C., in Albany, is a psychopath landlord like 80-year-old Antonino Spano, who you will not arrest, you will not prosecute, and you will not jail, even though it's a crime to lock the doors on a tenant without a court order. Tell me what happened to my illegal eviction. My illegal eviction you participated in refusing to answer questions about. The law requires a court order to remove my personal possessions from 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Penfield, New York, to a storage locker in Webster, New York. Do you know the fact about the law? You left possessions in a residence. What has happened to me is insane. The questions. What individual called you to where we used to live at 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Penfield, New York? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, the father, Antonino Spano, call you? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, the father, Antonino Spano, use threatening language? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, the father, Antonino Spano, state my personal possessions were thrown in the trash? What did you say to my sister Barbara about paying for the storage locker? It is insane I have to ask these questions. Our relationship ended. I forced demand answers from you because you decided to inject yourself into my life. You decided to be in my life under a sick and delusional belief you're somehow helping me. I don't know if this is your email that doesn't have your name and begins ludicrously with quote send end quote. I don't know if you live at 781 Winifred Drive in Webster. I don't know why you refused to respond to simple questions. I do know you exist in a state of indifference and decency despite the fact we live 3 different residences together. What's my name? Where am I from? How long you know me? Contact me by address on Park Avenue below. The answers to these questions, sign for your registered mail, return receipt when it arrives from me. You aren't recognizable. YouTube for Laura Riley again. YouTube for Laura Riley. I'm telling her over and over to tell me what happened in my life that she injected herself into. And she's refusing every single time to tell me. So, this is the freak. This is the freak. Richard J. Seidman. There's the criminal complaint attached to PDF. Here, that's my handwriting for Richard J. Seidman. This is my signature here. This is Christopher M. Price, notary at the Monroe branch of the Rochester Public Library, which is on Monroe Avenue, July 21st, 2023. So, I will read that language for you. That Richard J. Seidman, a Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked into the Pembroke Public Library in Pembroke, New York, ran at Christopher Chichester, slammed his arm into the head of Chichester, causing him to fall backwards, and hit his head on ceramic tile floor. Jail's not good enough for this freaking sociopath. He should be in state prison. The force of his arm hitting me in the head, and then when I fell backwards, and then my head hit the ceramic tile of the Pembroke Public Library floor by $75,000, Richard J. Seidman is why he should be in state prison. This is not county jail, because I have been in county jail 6 times. This is a violent sociopath who will attack other innocent citizens. State prison is where he should belong. And a train should run down on him, $75,000 Richard J. Seidman. So, this is the parking lot next to where I used to live in Penfield. Is it a crime to walk through this parking lot? You will have to say yes at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office, because I'm prosecuted in total silence for walking through this parking lot. There are 2 of my neighbors right here. I don't know if you can see that. 4,000 times I've walked through this parking lot. This land here has no ownership. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about the parking lot, not the land. I'm coming back from Gold's Gym and Fairport. Adding to the 4,000 times I've walked through this parking lot, just like the elderly woman across the street that walks through it, just like my excellent friend Adam who lived next to me at this residence, just like Penfield High School students. It's a crime to walk through this parking lot. Penfield High School students should be arrested. Do you know why, Todd Baxter? Because right here, it says, on the above dated approximately 1440 hours, HRS, sick, I responded to the above location for the male trespassing. Male trespassing, is that right, Todd Baxter? I'm just going to show you what lands me in Monroe County Jail and prosecutor talk court for John Lorenzo Jr. This is it. This is the false reporting incident by this 50-year-old psychopath, Neeraj Shah, who lives with his 70-year-old mother. Trespassing. I'll just read the second sentence, and then I'll finish with this, because I could get physically ill. I could throw up if I have to read this whole thing again. Palma Araba spoke of V. Shah, who stated H.I. was on his property again, even though he's been informed he's not allowed to be here. You freaks and sociopaths. This is not property. This is a parking lot. Shannon Meyer's full-time job. The freak and the sociopath, the sheriff's office, who brings me to the attention of every freak and sociopath, the sheriff's office, should stand right here. And every time one foot goes into this parking lot, there should be an arrest. Because I have the same 14th Amendment right to equal protection laws as every single person that walks through the parking lot, including my 2 neighbors right up here. False reporting an incident. They're not going to be arrested. Neeraj Shah, and the thing that's really disturbing is that on the accusatory instrument, I have this confrontation, with Neeraj Shah, and his mother is on here because it says lay with Shah up here because he doesn't want to expose himself to what I'm going to try to do to him anyway, which is to spar him. So, Supreme Court of State of New York. To the Supreme Court stating that the complaint of the plaintiff, Christopher Chichester, respectfully shows and alleges as follows. Neeraj Shah, Lynn Kumar Shah, 2033 Penfield Road, Penfield, New York, 14526, false reported incident of Christopher Chichester, 426 Sandra Drive, and walked through the parking lot next to the residence. This is falsely reporting an incident. Is it not? Perry Duckson and Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley, District Attorney's Office. Is this not false reporting an incident? When he goes to the sheriff's office, Neeraj Shah, Lynn Kumar Shah, where his mother is the complainant, It is. And you can't see it. Because you're blind to the truth. You're blind to justice. You're blind to decency. You're blind to everything that's good. So, now, as I continue here with additional documentation, when I get home from Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, I do not know, as I run down Penfield Road, they're going to put the key in the door. I'll make plans to go back to home. I do not know the front door is locked by 80-year-old Antonino Spano in Fairport, New York. This old man hates human beings. I lived there for 7+ years. Supreme Court State of New York, plaintiff against the defendant, to the Supreme Court State of New York. The complainant, the plaintiff, Christopher Chichester, respectfully shows the letter as follows. Antonino Spano, Fairport, New York, locked the front and back doors of the residence of 7 years at 26 Sandra from Drive, Penfield, New York, without a court order. Takes a court order with lock the citizen out. Do you understand what I just said to you, freaks and sociopaths that will refuse to arrest Antonino Spano at the sheriff's office, and you freaks and sociopaths at the district attorney's office that will refuse to prosecute him? This is a crime, as I've said to you over and over and over, and you cannot recognize what a crime is. So, most important part is Christopher M. Price, the Notary Public at Monroe Branch, the Rochester Public Library, is my signature. That's a crime. It's a crime for my ex-girlfriend, Laura Rye, Webster, New York, when I'm in Livingston County Jail, to take every single thing I own out of the residence to a storage locker in Webster, as I've repeatedly said. Supreme Court of State of New York, plaintiff defendant, to the Supreme Court of State of New York, plaintiff defendant Christopher Chichester respectfully shows the letter as follows. Laura Riley, Webster, New York, transported the personal belongings of Christopher Chichester from 26 Sandra Drive in Penfield, New York, to a storage locker in Webster, New York, without a court order. This is a crime. You can't see it. You can't see the truth because you're evil. So, this is Christopher M. Price again. Right there. Notarize that for me. Monroe Branch, of Rochester Public Library. Now, what you're thinking is, how do we send him to jail again? That's exactly what you freaks and sociopaths are thinking. And if me being on here, reading and filing these criminal complaints are crimes, which they are, you cannot see the truth. Ever. Because you get a perverse thrill at destroying human beings. So, on this July 26, 2023, here's all your emails here. I use this email only once. Chichester.christopher001@gmail.com. Because I only use an email once because I can't be blocked. At least I think I can't be blocked. So, on this July 26, 2023, this is what I wrote to you freaks and sociopaths, the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, Penfield Town Court. And I'm going to send this to Alex Renzi. When Alex Renzi looks at this, he's going to think I want to send him to jail. Because Alex Renzi is a freaking sociopath. So, July 26, Todd Baxter, Sheriff, Sandra, Doorley, District Attorney. Comply with the attached freedom informational document in PDF dated July 26, 2023. Mail the names of my prosecutor, silence the address below my name. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutor, silence the district attorney's office because you're corrupt. A prosecutor does not talk to court because it's impossible to make an argument for concocted criminal charges by violent psychopaths at the sheriff's office. Attached in PDF of 4 criminal complaints notarized by Christopher M. Price from Rochester Public Library on July 21, 2023 that arrived in your office, you registered mail return receipt. Each of these individuals has committed crimes I detailed on YouTube. You will not arrest or prosecute these criminals because you two freaks are incapable of identifying a criminal act. I prosecutors are silenced before Penfield Town Court Judge John P. Lomenzo Jr., Penfield Town Court Judge Paul C. Meltzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. These 3 fanatics delivered me to jail 6 times without one word uttered in court by a prosecutor from the district attorney's office. That's insane. It's insane to be in jail when a prosecutor is incapable of making an argument that the defendant committed a crime. Then I have YouTube Silence of Violence, Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, Alex Renzi. I used it previously a few months earlier. That's the perfect 2 words to describe the freaks at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, Silence of Violence. Warped for the criminal complaints. I read the criminal complaints on YouTube. So I also communicated with you repeatedly on YouTube here again with the criminal complaints. What are the names of my prosecutors? And you will continue to refuse to disclose this information to me. Why? Because I'm really astonished that You're refusing to disclose this information to me. Now I'm going to read the Freedom of Information Law dated this July 30th, 2023. And you're going to refuse to comply with every single one of these. So, Freedom of Information Law, July 30, 2023, Christopher Chichester, cchichester@gmail.com. That's how easy it is to send the names of my prosecutor silence. That's how easy. Send the names of my prosecutor silence to cchichester@gul4. Freedom of Information Law. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That is 1, the day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned District Attorney's office employee that addressed the grand jury. 3, the witnesses that testified at the grand jury. 4, the vote of the grand jurors. 5, a transcript of the grand jury proceeding. I've demanded this over and over and over. From District Attorney Sandra. District Attorney Sandra has looked right at this, I hope, if her health allows it. I've sent this to you, Michelle Crowley, too. What is wrong with you, Michelle Crowley? I'm glad that you, Michelle Crowley, don't respond, because then I have a strong case you can be disbarred. I'm going to try to disbar Sandra Doorley, too. And I hope I'm not laughed at. So, I had $61.39 in my pocket when this freak, Richard J. Siemens, stalked me into the Pembroke Public Library and tagged me. Sent money back to me. Freedom of Information Law. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester, the address below for the expired check, in the amount of $61.39 from County Monroe Office of Sheriff and May Fund account. That's the dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester when he was violently attacked at the Pembroke Public Library by $75,094 Richard J. Siemens in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Sent money back to me. It's so obvious that that's my money, but it's not obvious to you. So, the contract for firearms. I've sent this to you over and over and over now, at least 10 times. Todd Baxter. Freedom of Information Law. The contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the names of firearms contractor, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, total amount of taxpayer dollars to purchase firearms. When I'm thinking about things that can remove you from office and what I could send to the controller, Thomas P. Napoli in Albany, to demonstrate to him that you're corrupt. This is not some security situation with the Sheriff's Office. The contract for firearms is dollar amount. What's the contract for firearms? There's corruption in contracting. I'm absolutely convinced you're engaged in corrupt contracting practices, Sheriff Todd Baxter. And when I send this to Thomas P. Napoli, the controller of the state of New York, the Alfred Smith building in Albany, I'm going to tell him you're refusing over and over and over and be able to see that you're refusing over and over and over. And he can audit you as a local government. So, the Freedom of Information Law on this July 30th, 2023. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Pembroke Court for John P. Renzi Jr. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. It's the payroll for the District Attorney's Office. The freak is right here. Is that Julie Hahn or is that not Julie Hahn? How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court before John P. Renzi Jr.? Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Pembroke Court before Paul C. Metzer. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? Perry Duckles, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley, or the District Attorney's Office. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court? This particular freak is why I'm still here in Rochester, New York. That forced me down to Renzi because I'm at 70 Liberty Pole Way. I had to be somewhere since I was locked out with Felix I. Ortiz as my case manager of Bronx, New York. And if Felix I. Ortiz of Bronx, New York didn't help me, I would have been sleeping outside for weeks with my health at risk because of Antonino Spano. Locking the doors and locking me out without a court order. Daniel Louse III is accused child rapist that John P. Renzi Jr. in Pembroke Court released. When I went down there to Pembroke Court with documentation I'm going to read, the same documentation, I gave it to the old lady at the window and told them to give it to Lomenzo because I want to examine the defective documents for the case of Daniel Louse III because there was a story in the Democratic Chronicle. He refuses. I go for my run. I come back from my run. And there's a Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicle in my driveway with Lindsey Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health. I turn around and continue to run because I don't want any part of this freak show. Lindsey Barron sees me. She gets in the vehicle for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, runs down Sanders Farm Drive to Willow Pond Way. I'm running down Willow Pond Way like this. And here's Lindsey Barron of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, this freak, screaming at me outside the window. I'm running, Lindsey Barron screaming, I want to talk to you, Chris. I'm running, Lindsey Barron screaming at me, I want to talk to you, Chris. On that day, that Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee is the chauffeur for Lindsey Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health. Because all I did is go to Penfield Town Court and demand documentation in a case for where a judge released an accused child rapist. This is the corruption of this little room. This is the fanaticism of this little room. Send me that documentation, you $28,000 evil, bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzler, and $34,000 James Milley Jr., and you release this violent Doug James Jermaine Bettman, who attacked me at a gym because Jessica Wagner in the district attorney's office had to deal with you and the attorney for Jermaine Bettman. Do you know what I'm talking about? You fossil James Milley Jr., and you should. So, lunatic fringe. Is you, Todd Baxter. I don't think I'm going to hold up this photograph because I don't think I can locate it. I think I just showed it to you. Surveillance device. The cost of surveillance device purchased for taxpayer dollars on Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter in a fixed wall building in 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Judge's 26 Sandra Farm Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. What am I talking about, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley? Do you know? Because I've demanded that you send me those images over and over and over, and you're refusing over and over and over. So, tell me what it is. There's sexual harassment at the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office. Tell me what's going on in your offices with how men and women interact and how men and women treat each other. Do they treat each other with the highest degree of respect and decency? And the answer is no, because you're animals at the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office. Is this sexual harassment or not? Freedom of Information Law. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter spending taxpayer dollars on employee-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the payroll for the sheriff's office. Todd Baxter, if you cared about your employees, the sexual harassment at the sheriff's office, you would ask to speak to $97,000 Ramona L. Sutherland, because $97,000 Ramona L. Sutherland can tell you what's going on in your own sheriff's office. If you cared about sexual harassment at your sheriff's office, you would ask to speak to Jamie L. Wooden at $83,291, because Jamie L. Wooden, that's a female, Jayme, I believe it is, she can tell you about what's going on with your animals and freaks who I'm absolutely convinced the males are sexually harassing the females. It can also be females sexually harassing males. So, you're refusing to answer, and when I contact the appropriate regulatory authorities over you, like the Department of Justice, I'll tell them you're refusing for 18 plus months to answer me. The way you answer me is say no. That's how you answer me. But I believe the answer is yes. And I believe there has been a settlement. We've had to expend taxpayer dollars because your freaks and sociopaths are engaged in a crime. That's sexual harassment. Freedom of Information. The cost of taxpayers, Monroe County District Attorney expending taxpayer dollars on employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So the second page of payroll for the district attorney's office. You Perry Dogs and Mark Monahan and Michelle Crowley, because it could be male sexual harassing female sexual harassing male. It goes two ways, increasingly. You cared about your employees, Sandra, you should ask your counsel. Because women will talk to other women about sexual harassment. Your counsel is Lisa Gray. First name here is $117,000. This is how you show you care about your employees and in law, Sandra. You ask to speak to Lisa Gray. And you say, tell me what's going on with the female employees and the state of sexual harassment. And are you aware, as you understand the term, sexual harassment is happening in the district attorney's office? Sexual harassment is a man asking a woman out on a date over and over and over, and she's under siege. No. Sexual harassment is a man touching a woman in the office over and over and over, and she says, keep your hands to yourself and don't touch me. Sexual harassment is lewd, vile, vulgar, profane language in the office that makes it impossible to focus and concentrate, including so-called jokes that are related to misogyny. Is there misogyny at the district attorney's office of female District Attorney Sandra Doorley in sexual harassment of the employees of the district attorney's office and tell me the answers, you freaks and sociopaths. So, freaks and sociopaths do this. Cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, photo of 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in a pool. When I send this to Tom Speed Napoli, I think he's going to think the control of the state of New York, what is he doing? Because when I asked you and demanded of you, this is taxpayers' dollars, the 1984 of you, Todd Baxter, tell me it's a private event. I don't care. I didn't ask you it's a private event. Yes or no, is this taxpayer dollars? Your employees should never leave Monroe County. What are you doing testifying before the House Rules Committee, which used to be chaired by Gerald Solomon, the state of New York, and Saratoga, a long time ago in the 1990s for 6 years? The House Rules Committee has nothing to do with law enforcement, Todd Baxter. You're going to testify before Congress, especially in the House, as the House Judiciary Committee. So you traveled to Washington, D.C. How much was it? You're refusing to answer. Corey Brown and Michael Fowler are in Saratoga, and you have Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia. What was the cost of the hotel? What was the cost of the plane ticket? How long did he stay there? And why was he there? And is this for one of these ridiculous conferences? Freedom of Information Law. Here, the cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher attended the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019 with his canine dog, Lola. So here he is. This is Monroe County Sheriff's employee Ryan Fisher. That's his dog. This is symbol here. This is why you're a joke. I used to laugh at this and ridicule and mock you. I'm not laughing at anything with my life being a million little pieces. What's the answer? Tell me how much this was. And you refuse because you're corrupt. I'm glad you don't answer. Because I'll tell Thomas P. Napoli you're refusing to answer. And you're corrupt. And then you're such a buffoon. You want people to know you're corrupt. You want people to know you're a buffoon. Twitter. As we get ready to watch the Super Bowl, we are grateful to the men and women side fans, players safe in Atlanta, including MC's own Deputy Ryan Fisher, Canine Lola. Deputy Fisher sent this photo from Atlanta, exclamation mark. Thank you both for your service. This is not service, you Benito Mussolini skinhead train wreck. This is your employee on a junket. Just like Corey Brown and Michael Fowler, 155 and 63 their salaries in Saratoga on a junket. Just like you being on a junket at the House Rules Committee. Perhaps you're familiar with the state of New York flag, Excelsior ever higher. You ever hired the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office? The answer is no. Because this symbol of hate that the rednecks love was not changed in 2003. That's how alienated Georgia is from the United States of America. But the stars and bars is still the symbol. I used to see that in 41A, before Camera Hunt, first day of One Division. My roommate Anthony O'Neill was from Los Angeles, California. I used to say, I really don't get that. He didn't get it either. And 30 years later, I still don't get it. That's the way you should be, Todd Baxter, about refusing to send your employees to the Deep South. Because Georgia's nothing like the state of New York. And here he is right here. It's a story about him. So Freedom of Information Law. This is on the 10th of January. I'm not going to read that because that's not one of these. What I was about to read, refused to comply with on that January 10th. So I got the financial disclosure from Sandra Doorley. Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley, Perry Duckles. Sandra Doorley sent me the financial disclosure. So I don't have to write it because I've read parts of the financial disclosure, which is odd that the district attorney essentially has no money. When I contact her again, I'm going to ask her about her financial disclosure with a series of questions. But Todd Baxter refused to send financial disclosure because Todd Baxter is corrupt. Todd Baxter, send your financial disclosure to me. Because when it arrives in your office, you'll be able to look at it and read it. Freedom of Information on the personal financial disclosure of Sheriff Todd Baxter. Alex Renzi is going to look at this when I send it to him, and he's going to have one overriding thought because he's corrupt. I want to send him to jail. Personal financial disclosure of New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. It is right here. I know you're not Alex Renzi, but this is included in all foils. And I want to tell you about him again because who forced me into Alex Renzi's to prosecute assigned to Alex Renzi and refusing every single time to tell me who it is? A long time ago, again, I'll go back to my experience because it really is defining for me from 1991 to 1998, worked for the majority and governing capital. I knew someone very well. And one of his big things was placing the children of his friends on the payrolls of New York State senators. And he was employed by a New York State senator. And this is the way the world works, and I'm not naive about nepotism. It's still not right. He would sit there in front of me when I would go over to what's called the Legislative Office Building, and he would have a list, and he would show it to me. And he would laugh, and he would talk about the people on this list that owed him favors. And this is the way it works. He's not the only one doing this, because he's getting jobs for the children of people he knows. What's the state of minors on the payroll? On the last page of the payroll, the Monroe County Sheriff Office, you had about 15 employees paid less than $12,000. I have to do this from memory. So I don't have the payroll on it. The new payroll I have doesn't have these names, because there was Camille Miller on the payroll at about $12,000 or $13,000. And it's Camille Miller, the daughter of $34,000 Kathleen Miller. And is Kathleen Miller married to Andrew Miller? So is it Andrew Miller, $77,000, and Kathleen Miller, $34,000, and the daughter of Andrew Miller and Kathleen Miller is Camille Miller, and is that nepotism at the sheriff's office? And when you're thinking, you freaks and sociopaths, he should be arrested for saying what he's saying here on YouTube. People hate nepotism. Constituents hate nepotism. Voters hate nepotism because it's so easily understood. So, for your information, the number of minors on the payroll of Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's the answer, Todd Baxter? When I sent this to Thomas B. DiNapoli, he will say that I demanded of you on this July 30th, 2023, and you refused. I believe you cannot survive an audit. When I say you cannot survive an audit, I believe that Thomas B. DiNapoli, if he audits you with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, will uncover unethical financial practices and perhaps criminal financial practices. Whether you have a resignation, I don't know. That's what I mean by you cannot survive. It will be discovered, Todd Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County, that you're fleecing taxpayers in any number of ways, that you're abusing public funds in any number of ways. So, number of minors on the payroll, number of minors on the payroll, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So, we got Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, about the minors on your payrolls. So, is there nepotism at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Todd Baxter? Is there nepotism at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley? Do you have minors on the payroll? One. Do you have minors on the payroll related to District Attorney's Office employees and Sheriff's Office employees? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. You refuse to answer because you're evil. To travel. Corey Brown and Michael Fowler, Saratoga. Ryan Fisher's in Atlanta, Georgia. You Benito Mussolini, skinhead who testified before the House Rules Committee. You're doing this with other employees too. What's the cost of all travel? I know you're not going to answer. I know you could blow me off. This will arrive in your office. You still won't answer. You still blow me off. Thomas B. DiNapoli will see, Control of the State of New York, that I'm demanding this of you. Cost for all travel at Monroe County, New York State by employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. Did you go to that District Attorneys Association of State of New York Summer Conference, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, or not? Do you travel out of Monroe County, District Attorney Sandra Doorley? Do you, Mark Monahan, Perry Duckles, Michelle Crowley, travel at any time out of Monroe County to these ridiculous conferences or not? Freedom of Information Law. The cost for all travel in Monroe County, New York State by employees of Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. You freaks on Penfield Court. Paul C. Metzler once had total control over my life. When I was at Livingston County Jail and I was asking, when am I going to be released? Regina Harper, the public defender's office, said to me, quote, "The judge is holding you." I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Seaman, presented in front of Paul C. Metzler, who is not a prosecutor from the district attorney's office to make an argument I committed a crime. I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. I'm in that jail day after day after day. I have to go to the kiosk demanding when I'm going to be released. And this is when Regina Harper says the judge is holding you. And I do not believe this is constitutional. Because that means Paul C. Metzler can do to me, to anyone in the town of 36,000, Penfield, New York. Have him violently attacked, send him to a jail outside of the county, and then hold that person in the jail. So, the cost for all travel in Monroe County, New York State by employees of Penfield Town Court 1985 Bad Road, Penfield, New York. This Paul C. Metzler is evil. I hope you burn in hell, you disgusting, sickening, fucking hacking widow. Freedom of Information Law. The cost for all travel from Monroe County, New York State by employees of the New York State Supreme Court and supervising Judge Alex Renzi in the New York State Supreme Court. This is why I'm going to be in jail again. I predicted on January 1, 2023 to you Perry Duckles that I would be in jail again. And I'm telling you this is going to happen to me again. Because he's going to look at this $208,000 hack and fossil. He's going to refuse to comply, and he's going to think, I want him in front of me so I can declare him guilty of any fiction, fantasy in the heads of your corrupt minds at the district attorney's office. So, you have it. You have the criminal complaints. These freaks who've unleashed upon me. Neirosh John Layla Kumar Shah. False reporting incident. Neirosh John Layla Kumar Shah. He gets his mother to go to the sheriff's office. Parking lot here. Every single one of you employees, the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, can walk through this parking lot in Pemberton, New York, next to where I used to live at 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Pemberton, New York. Show a different kind of Americans than me, because this cop freak Shannon Meyer was paid $67,000, is now paid $83,000. It's because of these two freaks here, false reporting an incident of me walking through a parking lot. It's not a crime to walk through that parking lot. And when the man on his tractor comes by my residence, he's wearing this on his head. Because the tractor's so loud, and he gets there at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I went to Spencer's Gibbs, the mall. I believe it was Marketplace Mall. And I saw this excellent wallet. And I've been using profanity my whole life. Because I'm from Long Island. My family's from Brooklyn, Queens. And there's nothing fucking wrong with using profanity. Todd fucking Baxter and Sandra fucking Doorley. So I saw this wallet here. And I bought it. So I'm going to tell you about profanity and Nancy Dooley and why you freaks at the sheriff's office. I'm walking my dog one day, and this Nancy Dooley, this Business Consumer Insights, which is right here. That's Consumer Insights where you got the camera. I'm standing right here. This Nancy Dooley pulls out in this parking lot, and she's done this over and over and over. I just don't have a reaction to someone the first time they do things where I think that's a freak. I am oftentimes quiet, and I just think, what's wrong with that person? So repeatedly, this Nancy Dooley's pulling out of this parking lot, and she would stop her car and stare at me as I'm walking my dog. So she did this a few times, this Nancy Dooley. Your employee, Elliot Roth, is that private technology on your business, or the sheriff's office psychopaths buying and fix it for me? So I'm standing right here, and Nancy Dooley pulls out here, stops her car, and she's staring at me. I'm standing at my dog. And then I say to Nancy Dooley, what the fuck are you looking at? Fuck you. And Nancy Dooley goes away, drives away. Is that a crime? Is that something the Monroe County Sheriff's Office has to come to my residence where I used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive about? Freaks and sociopaths, the Sheriff's Office. The answer is no. I think this is Richard J. Seaman again because he was out of Panorama Trail. I don't know. But it's a male or female. That's why people hate the police. I let them in. I walk to the center of what used to be my living room. I turn around, and here he is right here. He screams at me. This Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, I believe, is Richard J. Seaman. What did you say to the woman in the car? And then I reply to him, what the fuck are you looking at? Fuck you. And then Richard J. Seaman says to me, don't swear at me. You're coming to my house, Sheriff Todd Baxter, in the person of your Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, to tell me how to talk. And this is why citizens hate the police. And you will never know it. So, on the first page of the Sheriff's Office payroll here is Corey Brown, $155,366.64. Why is he paid in 64 cents? And on the first page of the payroll is Michael T. Fowler, $163,877.48. Why is he paid in 48 cents? What were they doing in Saratoga? Corey Brown and Michael Fowler. I know you're not going to answer. When I send this payroll to the Controller of State of New York, Thomas P. DiNapoli, he'll be able to say that you have these other employees making $100,000. Andrew Soike, $118,000. Kevin Shuffle, $116,000. Corey Brown, $155,000. Paul V. Ciminelli, $121,000. Kim A. Hinckley, $121,000. Philip Gambaro, $119,000. Sean D. Leclerc, $118,000. Peter J. Zambuto, $118,000. Michael Fowler, $163,000. Jeffrey D. Wagner, $145,000. Frederick S. Braincroft, third, $128,000. So here's another employee. Jeffrey C. Wagner is paid $13,000 more than you. And what does Jeffrey C. Wagner make and earn, along with Corey Brown and Michael Fowler, with overtime? Do you have $200,000 cops on here, Todd Baxter, or not, with overtime? You know what your answer to me is when I ask you if you have overtime at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office? That's your answer. So as far as me demanding information from you, freaks and sociopath, the information I'm demanding the most, that interests me the most, is my prosecutor's silence. So here it is, July 22nd, Todd Baxter, that arrives registered mail return receipt. July 22nd, Sandra Doorley, that arrives registered mail return receipt. July 22nd, Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, that arrives registered mail return receipt. July 22nd, Trinity Ross, who's the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York of Buffalo, gets this. She can see over and over and over, demanding you disclose to me at the district attorney's office my prosecutor's silence. How am I jail and prosecutor and talk to court? Sandra Doorley on July 20th got this, of demanding she disclose my prosecutor's silence. Todd Baxter on July 20th, again, I'm telling you, employees like Richard J. Seaton is a violent freak. Michael Houlihan lied under oath. I'm going to talk again about him and that death of that citizen. You know what I'm talking about. Michael Houlihan, death. So, Perry Yuckles in Monroe County District Attorney's Office, what are the names of my prosecutors? You looked right at this on July 20th. You could have complied and told me the names of my prosecutors. You refused, and that's why you're corrupt. July 20th, Todd Baxter again got this. So July 20th, Renzi got this. On this July 20th, I won't be surprised if the warrant's already out there for me. And you're just going to arrest me on the side of the road. It's that easy. You can bring me to jail and keep me in jail as long as you want with the concocted fiction and lies and your diseased brains. So Trinity Ross got this on July 20th. And then I started again on July 19th, over and over and over. This is not everything. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors. I'm paying for it, and you're refusing every single time. So the Freedom of Information Law document has been communicated to you. I'm Chris Chichester, Rochester, New York, and I'm a ham sandwich. Because District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Here is Donald Trump, born in Queens, New York, a ham sandwich. I'm Chris Chichester, born in Queens, New York. I'm a ham sandwich when I don't even know the grand jury is convened by Sandra Doorley and Michelle Crowley of the District Attorney's Office because Sandra Doorley and Michelle Crowley hate the human condition. Disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence at the District Attorney's Office, and you will refuse because you're evil. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man my whole life.